And this group 225, this is a pure round one contest. These four albums are raw combatants. They haven't been tested yet.
Which means this is a pure, unfiltered look at how they stack up against each other right now, against those three criteria.
Exactly.
All right, let's get into the results. We have to start with the two albums that didn't make the cut.
The bottom half.
And the first elimination is, I would argue, the most controversial result in this entire bracket.
Oh, unquestionably. In fourth place, dead last, knocked out immediately, we have a towering figure in music.
Greatest Hits Vinyl by Stan Getz.
I mean, this is a compilation based on a 1965 vinyl recording showcasing the work of a jazz saxophone legend. He was crucial to cool jazz, to the bossa nova movement in the 50s and 60s. Historically, this stuff is untouchable.
And yet, in the ruthless meritocracy of the album quest, that history, that reputation, it means nothing if the actual listening experience doesn't hold up against three totally different competitors.
And the author's critique was really focused. It was all about one thing: homogeneity.
The dreaded sameness.
Exactly. And we need to get specific with the sound here. The problem wasn't that the music was bad. It's Stan Getz. The playing is technically perfect. The failure was in its structural monotony when you're forced to listen to it intently and competitively.
So every track is, as the author said, an instrumental jazz saxophone number, and they all operate in that same smooth, relaxed bossa nova tempo.
Right. When you listen to a bossa nova compilation, which is basically what this is, you get that sustained acoustic warmth, you get the brush drums, the clean bass lines, and that effortless tenor sax lead over the top.
It's designed to be mood music.
It is. It's perfect for sustained, non-demanding background listening at a dinner party or something.
But when you force it into the quest, where that taste criterion demands constant engagement and, crucially, variation,
that sustained mood becomes a huge liability. The author said that all the tracks sounded so similar you could play them in any order and it wouldn't make a difference to the album's feel.
There's no dynamic shift.
None. No major change in structure. The instrumentation is rigidly consistent from start to finish.
And that structural similarity led directly to that samey verdict. It was written off as a mild curiosity piece. Enjoyable in, 5-minute bursts?
But ultimately just too dull and repetitive to justify moving on in the quest. It completely lacked the variety and the structural surprises it needed. It failed the discovery test entirely.
That lack of variety was its fatal flaw.
It was. So let's move up one spot to third place. And this brings us to a result that is maybe even more shocking from a commercial standpoint.
Florence and the Machine's debut album, Lungs. This album was huge.
It was an undeniable success story. It sold, 60,000 copies? It hit number 2 on the charts.
It launched Florence Welch into superstardom, won awards, got massive critical hype. The expectation here, looking at this group, is that this album should easily dominate.
And that's the paradox. It's profound. Despite all that commercial success, all that hype, the author found Lungs to be, and I'm quoting, a bit of a disappointment.
So if Stan Getz failed because it was too consistent in its mood,
Lungs failed because of an inconsistency in its quality.
Okay, so the specific criticism was that the material, once you get away from the big singles, was mostly flat and uninspiring.
Right, which suggests that classic major label debut issue. You have 3 massive, highly polished hit singles surrounded by 11 other tracks that just don't quite reach the same emotional or structural level.
But we should be fair and acknowledge the strengths that the author did concede. I mean, that's what kept it out of last place.
Absolutely. They did recognize the band is solid enough and has a genuine rock and roll heart. And very importantly, that the album is lyrically quite strong. It showcases Welch's flair for the dramatic, the macabre. The foundation was definitely there.
But that inconsistent execution just dragged it down in this competitive environment. The author pointed out the highlights, the nuggets that prove the band's quality.
Yeah, the tracks we all know: Rabbit Heart, Raise It Up, Cosmic Love, and Hurricane Drunk.
These are dynamic, they're anthemic, they show off the power of her voice and the band's instrumentation.
But the valleys between those peaks were just too deep. When you're directly comparing an album like this against 3 others, those flat moments, they just stand out so starkly.
So Lungs failed that critical taste test, but for sustained enjoyment. It promised these epic highs.
But delivered too many mid-tempo tracks that just didn't have the structural intrigue to keep the focus that the quest demands.
Okay, so if we synthesize the flaws of the bottom 2, it suffered from homogeneity, right? A consistent musical plane that failed to engage the discovery or the sustained taste criteria.
And Lungs suffered from inconsistent delivery. High peaks, but too many flat tracks in between. neither of them could maintain the quality needed to progress.
Which sets up a perfect tension for the top two. They must have shown either, flawless consistency or some level of surprising, unexpected quality that just blew the others away.
Exactly. And now we move to the contenders that secured their spots in round 2.
All right, grabbing second place and moving on to the next round is the brand new Heavies with Brother Sister.
And this album succeeded in exactly the area where Lungs failed: reliability and unwavering quality control.
Consistency. That is the defining strength here. The author specifically noted that every single track on Brother Sister is decent, and the album absolutely doesn't dip in quality.
And that means the listener has zero drop-off in engagement, which is a massive advantage in a head-to-head competition where, your attention span is everything.
So let's talk about the sound that achieved that consistency. This album is a cornerstone of that early 90s acid jazz scene. It's high on funk and groove.
Right. And unlike the sort of ambient acoustic jazz of Stan Getz, this is rhythmic. It often features these really complex bass lines, sophisticated drum patterns, and the powerful, soulful vocals of Anna Davenport.
The author says it has a sprinkle of jazz, but it's really jazz filtered through funk and soul.
Which makes it so much more dynamic and varied than the Getz compilation.
Yeah.
Here, the bass lines are right up front, the horns are punchy, the production is incredibly sharp.
The author called it an easily digestible listening session.
It provides this constant mid-level enjoyment. It's a perfect execution of the taste criterion over the long haul.
What's really fascinating is the author's perception of its hit density.
Yeah, that was a great detail.
They initially thought Brother Sister was a greatest hits album.
Simply because so much of the material, even the deep cuts, felt instantly recognizable and just super high quality.
Which says a lot about the consistent strength of their songwriting and production on this album, which is actually their third studio album.
The author highlighted a few fine tunes that really cemented its victory over Lungs. Dream On Dreamer, which is this perfect mix of funk and smooth R&B.
World Keeps Spinning.
And of course, the iconic Midnight at the Oasis. These tracks are just so robust, they ensure the album never loses momentum.
We should probably also mention the little curveball on the album, which the author still liked. 10-ton take or fake.
Yeah, described as a novelty track. And even when the Heavies deviate a little from their core sound, the overall quality control just holds firm. It's the difference between a high-quality, reliable machine and one that sputters every now and then.
So Brother Sister clearly showed its superiority over Lungs because you could just press play and relax. You knew there were no dull spots coming up.
It secured second place through the sheer force of that unwavering quality. It proved that consistency is a vital winning factor in the album quest.
Okay, so we have consistency taking the number 2 spot. This sets up the real challenge for the winner. If Brother Sister was so reliably good, what possible qualities did the first-place champion have that let it leapfrog something so solid?
The answer is the spectacular power of rock-bottom expectations combined with a massive, surprising amount of talent.
This is the definitive discovery win.
It is. The unexpected champion of Group 225 taking the top spot is the Descendants soundtrack.
We have to set the context for this victory because it's wild. This is a soundtrack from a 2015 Disney Channel TV movie. And the premise is that the children of famous Disney villains all go to prep school together. The main characters are the kids of Maleficent, Cruella Devil, the evil queen from Snow White, and Jafar from Aladdin.
The author was pretty candid about this. They admitted the concept sounds a bit pointless on paper.
And that initial skepticism is so important to understanding why it won. This album had the lowest potential score based purely on, genre perception.
But the execution just completely wiped out that perceived weakness.
And you can see its cultural impact, especially in the tweenie girl market. The author's personal story about their daughter really underlines how immersive it was.
Right. The daughter's intense obsession, dressing up as the characters Evie and Mal, playing the album on repeat. That kind of high-frequency, real-world engagement, it hints at just how sticky the music is.
And we have to give credit for the quality to the talent behind the camera. It was a TV movie, modest budget compared to a big feature film.
But it was directed by Kenny Ortega.
The maestro, the man responsible for the high-gloss production of High School Musical and Camp Rock.
And that explains the professional sheen on the whole project.
Now, we do have to address the complex layer of subjective judgment here. There's an element of nostalgia that clearly boosted the author's ranking.
Yeah, there's some specific commentary from the author about their personal view of the Disney brand itself.
Right.
The author explicitly framed this film as being made, and this is their phrasing, before Disney were infected with the woke agenda.
And they saw the material as a reflection of a more family-friendly Disney that was made with a lot of heart.
And this is a key point in the album quest methodology.
Mm-hmm.
We have to report that this framing, it resonated very positively with the author's nostalgia criterion.
So they felt a connection to a perceived earlier, more traditional era of Disney.
And that emotional resonance absolutely contributed to the album's high score. It's a perfect example of how external, subjective criteria can elevate the musical material itself.
Absolutely. So putting that personal framing aside for a second and just focusing on the music, the author declared the soundtrack is very professionally done. It shows a technical strength that you just wouldn't expect.
The musical style is, standard family-friendly pop. You get ballads, you get up-tempo dance numbers.
Yeah.
But critically, the music fits the movie's concept superbly well. It completely succeeds as a functional soundtrack.
And this is where that discovery element really kicks in hard. The high level of vocal talent from the actors.
The author did acknowledge that a couple of them are a bit ropey, which, is understandable. They're actors first.
Sure.
But the overall vocal performance is excellent and, more importantly, surprising. That level of unexpected competence completely neutralized any mediocrity you might expect from a TV soundtrack.
The winning moments were these hyper-specific technical flourishes.
Mm-hmm. The author singled out the song that I mentioned for having an incredibly clever segment where the performers actually sing the spelling of the word ridiculous.
And that surprising display of lyrical and structural complexity, that is pure discovery gold. It rewards the attentive, focused listener that the quest demands.
And then there was the vocal climax of the album,
Yeah.
highlighted by Kristen Chenoweth's performance as Maleficent on the track, Evil Like Me.
This was called a stunning display of talent.
And what makes her contribution so valuable in this quest framework is the contrast. She's not a full-time pop singer. She's a seasoned Broadway performer bringing this unexpected world-class vocal mastery to a teen pop album.
That overwhelming, high-caliber talent from such an unexpected source is a massive subjective boost.
It demonstrates a technical polish that neither Stan Getz, with his monotony, nor Florence plus the machine, with its inconsistency, could come close to matching in this round.
And finally, the album maintains its quality control all the way to the end, just like Brother Sister.
Right. The track Night is Young was pointed out as a late album gem, good enough to be a standalone single on a club dance pop album from the likes of Jennifer Lopez.
So the overall conclusion was pretty clear. Despite the low expectations and the group being, a little weak overall, which shows how poorly Getz and Lungs scored.
The author found it hard to find flaw with this impressive kids' TV show soundtrack. It was far stronger than it had a right to be.
It just exceeded all expectations and took the top spot based on technical surprise and that strong emotional resonance.
It's a stunning demonstration of how the album quest methodology actually works.
A combination of professional polish, clever structural bits, and that powerful sense of discovery just completely overcame historical reputation and even solid consistency.
Absolutely. When you force this kind of randomization, the albums that do the best are the ones that maximize their emotional and technical impact, completely irrespective of their genre or their budget.
Okay, so let's lock it in. Let's confirm the final official rankings for Round 1, Group 225, Rotten to the Core.
The official results are, in first place, Descendants soundtrack.
In second place, Brother Sister by the brand new Heavies.
In third, Lungs by Florence and the Machine.
And in fourth place, Eliminated, Greatest Hits Final by Stan Getz.
This group just provides this rich tapestry of what makes an album succeed or fail in this system. The core problem for Stan Getz was monotony. For Lungs, it was unevenness.
And the winners, they excelled by offering a complete, satisfying listening experience from start to finish.
Brother Sister delivered that unwavering, dependable quality. It secured its spot through rock-solid consistency, satisfying the taste criterion reliably.
But the Descendants soundtrack proved that the winning factor can often be the element that exceeds your expectations the most dramatically.
That combination of high production value, those specific moments of clever technical flair like the spelling segment, and the powerful discovery of Kristen Chenoweth's voice.
All coupled with the author's subjective nostalgia for a certain era of Disney.
It was just an unbeatable combination in this group.
This confirms it. The album quest is less about traditional music history and more about finding the most satisfying, surprising, and engaging current listening experience when you force it into a direct comparison with three completely different albums.
It's a meritocracy of subjective enjoyment.
And so the two albums that successfully move on to round two are The Descendants soundtrack and Brother Sister. They survived this chaotic round, and now they'll face new challengers in the ongoing quest for the best album of all time.